On October 10th, 2025, the streamer Devoglaer went live to discuss a personal matter. This personal matter involves me, Catarella. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a very serious video, so please make sure you are in the right mindset, as it involves some upsetting themes and topics. Take care of yourselves as always. I'm going to be reading from a script and from my notes for a lot of this video, so please be aware of that so you know that if I ever sound like I am reading something, it is because I am. I wanted to make sure all my thoughts were clear in this video. I previously used to be on Devoglaer's staff team and worked as his YouTube manager. Although Devoglaer does not name me in his video, a big chunk of his community already knows it was me, as I was the only staff member to randomly disappear 7 months ago. I refer to Devoglaer as Devo a lot in this video, as it is his nickname. I am making this video to publicly respond to the statements Devo has made. I believe it is important not only for my own integrity, but also for the sake of transparency, to share my perspective and provide valuable information that was not included in his remarks. Please understand you will hear things you have not heard before, and to approach with an open mind. Thank you. Okay, so before we even begin watching Devo's stream, I want to give the timeline of events of what's happening. Because Devo will go ahead and give his timeline of events, and that's perfectly fine. But I also think it's important that you hear it from me directly. This document that I'm reading from is 7 months old. I wrote down this timeline literally the night everything went down. The night that Devo called me, confronting me about it, the night I had a phone call with Onyx apologizing and talking to them on the phone. I read from this exact document, and I asked Onyx if I could do it on the phone call, and they said yes, and they sat and they listened while I read from this document. The first thing that happens is Onyx posts an Instagram post of a video showing the cover art for their new single, I Think I'm in Love. Now, this cover art depicted a rose, or like two roses next to each other, dripping this really rich, kind of bloody substance down into a pool of blood underneath the rose. Now, the first thing I noticed, and it was hard to spot. I definitely had to look at it again, but I did notice that the reflections of the rose were weird immediately, like the lighting. And then I secondly noticed that the blood would drip down into the pool and then reverse back up into the rose, which is a clear indication of AI. So I immediately raised an eyebrow. I was like, that's a little weird. Is this AI? Like, that usually means it's AI if like liquid is reversing, because 7 months ago, and I mean still today, you can usually tell with water is really hard to replicate realistically with AI, so it always looks a little funky. So this blood substance did not look natural. And then I went ahead and I read the caption, because I was like, oh, maybe they used AI for the cover. And the caption stated that the artwork was made by yours truly, which indicates that Onyx made the artwork. And so I was thinking to myself, oh, okay, it still kind of looks like AI. So I was immediately confused, because it really was resembling AI. The caption itself was claiming that it was made by Onyx, that Onyx had artistically crafted this and made it themselves. Now, how it was made by Onyx, I don't know. That was another confusing part, is Onyx previously had never really shown artwork on their page on Instagram. I even scrolled down to see, and I'm blocked so I cannot show you their page, but I even scrolled down to see if any previous artwork had ever been posted by Onyx. I was like, oh, they're an artist. I had no idea that they like did drawing and 3D rendering. But there was no artwork to be found, so that immediately kind of made my eyebrows raise again. I was like, wait, there's like no other artwork. I'm confused. So I message a community member that is very close to Onyx to ask if they think that this cover art is AI, and they respond. So they also noticed the oddities that I was noticing, and so we were kind of having a back and forth exchange, trying to figure out what was going on. Then a different community member who wasn't really a part of Onyx's community, more so with Devo, they posted on their story, and I do not have a screenshot of this, but they posted on their story literally calling out Onyx and the art, like the cover art. And they posted to their Instagram story upset about it, and I swiped up to ask, and I was like, oh, wait, do you think this is AI too? Because their Instagram story was kind of implicating that they thought it was made by AI and they were upset about it. So I messaged them going, wait, is it actually AI? Because like I'm noticing a few oddities, but I'm not 100% sure. And you're an artist. This person is an artist who posted on their story about it. They do art for I wouldn't say a living. They do it as a very serious hobby of theirs. And they're really incredible at it. So I knew that they would absolutely have an eye for noticing AI. So this person ends up messaging Onyx to get clarity on the situation and to express concern and gather understanding as to what exactly is going on with the art piece for their single. Onyx messages back with several voice messages, and I'm reading here from my notes, explaining why and that yes, it is AI. Now, this person was doing school at the time, so they knew the messages got sent and they let me know, but then they had to go back to doing schoolwork, so they couldn't listen to all of the voice messages that Onyx sent. When this person returned back to the DMs to listen to those voice messages, they found that it was all deleted. Onyx had completely deleted all of the voice messages and they were gone. We only had one that we were able to listen to, and it kind of gave an insight as to what was happening, but it was not enough to get a clear idea as to what the explanation was. And Onyx sent a message basically saying, hey, I changed my mind on telling you why. So we were very confused. So I waited to see if anything changed on the post description because I knew that this person reached out, Onyx knew they reached out, and I was kind of waiting to see if Onyx was going to change the description from saying made by yours truly to made by AI, but it did not change. So I was even more confused. I commented on the post later on asking if Onyx could change the description to make it accurate, and here is that screenshot of me commenting. Onyx actually responded to my comment agreeing, and then the post didn't receive a change for a week. And I laughed there because I waited an entire week because it didn't happen the day of, and it didn't happen for a week. So that added even more confusion because I gave clear instructions in my comment to be like, hey, do you mind changing this to it saying that it's made by AI? But nothing got changed, even though Onyx acknowledged my comment, so it was even more confusing. And the reason why I commented was just to send them a just very kind, like, nice message of like, do you mind accurately describing this caption so that people aren't confused? Because if me and multiple other people, especially an artist, are noticing oddities in this artwork, then other people are noticing it too, and I think it's only right that somebody tells you about it and asks politely if you can please change the caption so it accurately depicts what your art is showing. I then decide, after a week of absolute no change, silence, I then decide to let another community member know, and this community member was a part of Onyx's community. I wanted to let them know that it was AI because they commented on the post directly complimenting the art that Onyx quote unquote made. So I wanted to inform them that it was actually AI, and I didn't want them believing that Onyx made it because it was AI, but Onyx wasn't changing the caption to let everybody know that it was AI. So I DM'd them. I felt like it was important to inform them because they directly commented on the post and complimented the art. But this conversation continued further than I should have sent it, and I ended up using poor language and unnecessary vocabulary to express how it upset me. And we will get into that later. The post ultimately got deleted, and the first person I DM'd asking if they thought it was AI let me know of this. and I checked and it was gone. So I was like, okay, what is happening? Why is the post magically gone now? So I decided to directly go to Onyx now and DM them and just straight up ask. So I sent Onyx a DM, and here are my screenshots of me directly going to Onyx to ask about what's happening with the post, because I was very confused because my comment was acknowledged but nothing ever got changed, and now the post is deleted. So I was like, what is happening? So I just directly went to them to talk to them. Onyx messaged me back and then ended up posting an apology and reasoning about the entire artwork situation. I also do want to point out that this specific screenshot is cut off. Now, I deleted my DMs with Onyx a long time ago, so I do not have access to be able to show you the rest of this screenshot. Onyx has the screenshot if he kept the DM. So, just be aware that if Onyx has our conversations, they have the rest of what I said. So, if you are curious, I am perfectly fine with you guys seeing what I wrote in the DM because it's nothing bad. It literally is just me being understanding and trying to reassure them that I'm not upset. I just want clarity over the situation. The first person I was talking to messaged me letting me know that they saw the apology as well, and I told them that I saw it too. And we were both relieved that Onyx finally addressed it. This apology is no longer on Onyx's Instagram. You cannot find it. I had a friend check because I'm blocked and it's gone. So I cannot reference this apology, but I do know that Onyx mentions the LA fires were one of the reasons why they decided to use AI art for the artwork, because they were so overwhelmed and stressed and they wanted to get the single out quickly. But again, I do not have the apology to go off of, so you are just going to have to take my word for it. If someone has the apology and would like to put it out, Onyx, if you want to put it back out there, that'd be cool, because to be able to reference it would be nice. Okay, now we are going to get straight into Devoglaer's stream. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put Devoglaer's stream first, and then I'm going to put my comments. I take this very seriously, so if at any point I sound upset or serious or stern, it is because it is exactly that. This information that has been presented here is not to be joked about. It is not to be taken lightly. Take care of yourself as you watch this. It's a lot of information. It can get overwhelming. So here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So I do also want you to know, I wrote out all the stuff that I need to talk about. I'm going to try my best to not read from it, but if you do see my eyes going down here, it's because I wrote it all out. I wanted to make sure that I had everything together because this is something that has been going on for 7 months. So where to start? I guess we'll start at the beginning. So 7 months ago, at the beginning of March, my best friend, who is a musician and a recording artist, used generative AI to make an album cover, or make a single cover. I told him not to do it, but he said, hey, I don't think that it's that big of an issue. I'm just gonna move forward. I said, okay, you know what? I love you. Got it.
Devo saying I told him not to do it in reference to Onyx using the AI for a single cover infers that he knew about the AI from the start. AI in general also just impacts these people in general, right? It impacts Devo and it impacts Devo's husband, who does photography and artwork. So AI severely impacts Devo and their husband, and even Onyx, right? There are people making AI lyrics and making songs and making money off of it, and it's not coming from originality at all. Now, even though this is based on artwork, still, AI in general is just dangerous to authentic artists.
But he said, hey, I don't think that it's that big of an issue. I'm just gonna move forward. I said, okay, you know what? I love you. Got it.
Also, with Onyx claiming I don't think it's as big of an issue, insinuates they already have prior knowledge of generative AI. With this information, the audience could assume his view of AI was indifference from the start, since he had prior knowledge and decided to proceed anyways. Devo has been outspoken about AI for a while, speaking out against it on stream publicly several times in the past, as it affects himself and his husband's creative work as online artists. Onyx, as their best friend, would most likely know about this, especially on a digital platform, but also because Devo's husband works in a digital space of creativity, photography, and editing, where AI is a genuine threat. They're also Devo's best friend, so they should definitely have already heard Devoglaer talk about it before. Onyx claiming it is not a big issue would easily prompt Devo or his husband to explain the damages of AI to them and how it affects the environment, real life artists, etc., etc. This was the perfect moment for Devo to be like, "Oh, well, let me tell you why this is bad and why I don't think you should do it." So if Devo did tell Onyx the dangerous effects of AI during this moment, then it looks like Onyx proceeded without care. If Devo didn't tell him why it's bad, then they missed out on a perfect opportunity to educate them right then and there, and Onyx proceeded with only their own prior knowledge on the subject alone. Another very key point of the story that Devo conveniently does not mention here is Onyx's Instagram post and caption. Remember, in Onyx's post, they claim that the art was made by yours truly, aka made by them. I talked about this earlier in my side of the story, which adds a ton of context to the preceding points of information. Devo knew about this screenshot, but did not mention that part of the story, and by not mentioning it, places all the blame on me. He makes it look and sound like that I went after Onyx only for posting AI.
My best friend, who is a musician and a recording artist, used generative AI to make an album cover or make a single cover. I told him not to do it, but he said, "Hey, I don't think that it's that big of an issue. I'm just going to move forward." I said, "Okay, you know what? I love you. Got it." So after that, he experienced a lot of backlash, which, I am not defending him. I am not defending the use of Gen AI at all. He received a lot of backlash and he learned a lot and he apologized. He was urged to apologize by his community, and I told him, I said, "Hey," and I helped him write the apology. I said, you need to apologize." So he learned a lesson, he apologized, and we thought we'd move forward.
I went to those two community members because they knew Onyx better than I did, might have had information on the artwork since they talk more with Onyx than I do, and informed them that it looked like AI, and then later when we got confirmation that it was AI. The caption of Onyx's post was why I spoke to these two people, because they believed it was real art, and Devo does not mention this. It was a crucial part of the story that gave me purpose and clarity for why I messaged those two community members to begin with. By not mentioning the caption part of this story, he absolutely spun it to sound like instead I went to those two people to talk badly and rally them, when in reality it was to alert them that Onyx was not truthful in their Instagram caption about making the art, and I shared why it upset me. But Devo only said Onyx used AI, got community feedback, apologized, learned a lot, and claimed I tried to cancel them for it. Is it not wrong to tell your audience of 1,000+ people that you made artwork that was actually AI? Devo said he read the screenshots from the community members I spoke to.
They proceeded to show me screenshots of a former moderator of mine who was going behind my back, going to several community members, trying to rally up support to cancel my best friend. And so I brought the screenshots up and I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm literally looking at this right now."
Which means he would have seen the AI post caption part mentioned, but didn't tell his audience that part. Instead, made it sound like I canceled Onyx because of AI use overall, which is not the case. The reason I texted Devo the picture of the Instagram post was because I mentioned this part of the story to him in our last phone call, and he asked to see it. So any claim that he never knew about this part falls flat. The main issue was the inaccurate caption, which both of these community members fell for until spoken to about, which shows that Onyx's inaccurate caption impacted their audience, and who knows how many more who never spoke up about it. By taking this crucial piece of clarity out of the story, yes, 100%. It sounds like I tried to cancel Onyx based on Devo's explanation. But placing these pieces back into the story adds so much clarity, and I think it's extremely unfair and unkind that Devo left this part out. Here are our stories side by side based on what Devo said and what I've said. It does not align because the essential detail from mine is missing from Devo's, painting me in an inaccurate light to fit his harmful narrative. These details do matter. You knew about the screenshots, Devo. You knew about Onyx's incorrect caption both from the screenshots you saw from the community members and from my text during our last phone call. So why leave this essential piece of information out? It does matter. The cover art is still up as his single cover, by the way. Here it is. This is the AI post, and the Instagram one was animated, so imagine the blood was dripping downwards and then like back up. Even after deleting the Instagram post and apology, Onyx has not changed the art itself on their music platforms. Now, you can come to your own personal conclusion as to why you think they are not changing this or haven't changed it, but it is still up as their artwork for their single, which is interesting.
So after that, he experienced a lot of backlash, which, I am not defending him. I am not defending the use of Gen AI at all. He received a lot of backlash, and he learned a lot, and he apologized. He was urged to apologize by his community, and I told him, I said, hey, and I helped him write the apology. I said, you need to apologize. So he learned a lesson, he apologized, and we thought we'd move forward. About a week after that, though, one of the community members in my community, sorry, I'm gonna try to be calm. One of the demons came to me and said, hey, Devo, I think there's something that you need to know. They proceeded to show me screenshots of a former moderator of mine who was going behind my back, going to several community members, trying to rally up support to cancel my best friend.
The two community members that I went to were the two conversations at the very beginning of the video, and I will share them here again for you to see. These were the two people I went to talk to about Onyx using AI for their single song artwork. Okay, now this is the reason why Devoglaer thinks I was trying to attack Onyx and rally these two people to cancel them. It is because I used words like deception, lies. I also used the word sketchy in the other screenshot in referring to the deleted voice messages that they sent that other person. I chose to use the word sketchy. I can totally see how that can be seen as aggressive, but it is not what Devoglaer thinks it is. And I need to be perfectly clear. That was not right to do, right? Those are very dramatic words to use. I used them because it wasn't the truth. What Onyx did in that post was not the truth. Saying that that artwork was made by them was not true. So therefore, it is untruthful. Therefore, it is a lie. Therefore, it is deception, meaning let's just put the definitions up so we're all on the same page, right? And are they dramatic words? Yes. But was I using those words to try and destroy and cancel Onyx? No.
And when I say cancel my best friend, I don't just mean going to people and saying, hey, I think this is wrong.
I absolutely do at least infer that in these screenshots. Do I say it directly? No. But based on my messages, it is wrong. And I am expressing to these two people that I do think it's wrong, but I am not explicitly saying that. Right? I am saying it in other ways, but it's still getting across as the message is, I think this personally is not right to do to their audience.
Going to people who she had never spoken to.
Okay, so the screenshot from Discord, that person I first met when I first joined the Brood, and we did interact for, I think, a very short amount of time. But for the other screenshot, we've interacted quite a bit. This statement of we've never interacted, I've never interacted with any of these people is just completely false. We have interacted. The Discord person, not a lot. The green text person, yes, a lot more than the Discord person. Now, were we best friends? No, but we talked. They definitely knew who we were. In fact, this person was my secret Santa buddy for our event, our Christmas event. So we definitely interacted quite a bit.
She was not a Twitch mod and she was not a Discord mod, but she did work on the team.
I don't know why he doesn't explicitly just say here that I was the YouTube manager for him. It's not like it was a secret, and it's not a secret. I really do not mind if he says that I was the YouTube manager. He currently doesn't have a YouTube manager. If anything, it's Nathan, his husband, which, yay, but I was the YouTube manager.
Going around and saying Onyx is a terrible person, he's a manipulator, he's a liar, and he deserves to be punished. Also saying things like, he's a liar, And just so you know, I fucking hate liars. We need to get him.
This is the start where Devoglaer really starts to just add things to either legit evidence that I have that I'm showing, or just things out of the blue to make it seem worse than it is. So here are the exact words that I used in the Discord DM, and you can go check as well. Here are the exact words in the Discord DM, and here are the exact words used in the Instagram DM. Now, the reason why I'm being so nitpicky about this is because it is not okay to just make stuff up about what people said.
And so when I found out about this, I was kind of shocked. I was kind of shocked because this person is someone who I thought was rational, someone who I thought would maybe come to me about this, maybe even go to Onyx about it.
I did.
But instead, she chose to go behind my back and also to ask people to not mention it to me.
During my conversation with the Instagram person, they actually suggested that it wouldn't even really matter if we went to you. But to further clarify this point, because I know it's gonna be picked at like a scab, is the reason why I did not go to you, Devoglaer, it wasn't about you. It was about Onyx and their untruthfulness about making the AI cover, okay? This had nothing to do with you. I'm gonna make a little bit of a harsh point here. Okay? Just because this person is your best friend does not mean that you need to be glued at the hip to them every second of your life. I did not involve you because it was about Onyx. Is your name Onyx? No, your name is Devo. This was about Onyx, and this was about Onyx's AI. Now, at the time, things were slowly beginning to unfold. I didn't want to run to you with a problem and be like, something's so horribly wrong, right? I wanted to figure it out myself without raising an unnecessary alarm, okay? So that's why I didn't come to you. It wasn't because I was hiding anything. I didn't need you, frankly. I didn't need you for this. This was something that I knew that I could handle, right? That the reason I did not contact you is because I had it under control and I wanted to handle it by myself like a big girl.
Saying, I'm a mod and I don't want this to get back to Devo. I don't want to upset him. So of course, you know, it gets back to me. And again, I'm not defending him. He should not have used generative AI.
At the beginning of the video, I did make the point that this would have been the perfect opportunity for Devoglaer to explain to Onyx why AI is bad, generative AI in general, can we be completely honest? But it's not verified here if that ever happened. And it's sounding like it didn't happen. We don't know for sure. I don't want to say it didn't or it did because we don't know. But it would have been just the perfect opportunity. And Devoglaer has seen the screenshot of the caption, which leads me to my next point. So, did you hold him accountable for putting an incorrect caption if you knew that he used the AI and the AI was the single cover? Your best friend did not tell the truth in that caption, and if you saw it, you are not acknowledging that you held him accountable for that, right? Which leads me to ask, if you refuse to see Onyx writing made by yours truly as not untruthful or a lie, then what would you call it and why? I'm genuinely curious because the caption was not true. So, if you refuse to say it's untruthful or a lie or whatever words I used, right? Then what are you gonna call it? What do you call it?
He apologized, but being honest, this did not feel like holding someone accountable.
I'm back. This did not feel like trying to hold someone accountable. I'm curious as to where the translation's getting lost.
This felt like trying to weaponize cancel culture.
Two people, private conversations, not mass shaming, not mass canceling, not public. And by the way, someone literally posted about this publicly on their public account. Somebody else posted it publicly. I have never posted about this publicly until now, right? As a response. But someone literally posted it on their story, and that's why I swiped up to continue trying to figure out if it was AI. I didn't post about it. Somebody else did. And I'm not going to air them out, but they are fully aware that they did that. And they acknowledged it with me.
Weaponize Gen AI to hurt someone who is an artist, who is a black queer artist. I just, again. So I confronted her. And I called her and I said, hey, are you trying to cancel my best friend?
No. And by the way, Devo fails to mention that when we were texting, he made it seem like we were going to be discussing YouTube. So I went into this completely blindsided, which is just so not necessary. Like, the thing is with Devo is like he always preaches authenticity and honesty and realness, but then can't come to me and just straight up be like, hey, I heard this happened. Let's talk about it when we have our phone call today. It's like he wanted to catch me lying or catch me in the act or whatever, right? It's just so unnecessary. Like, can you just like be real and like just talk to me? This whole trickery thing just really was unnecessary and upset me.
And she lied to my face.
No, Devo, I did not lie to your face. I openly talked to you about what happened. And I probably said at the beginning, like, hey, can you clarify exactly what you mean by canceling your best friend? And then you clarified and said, I have screenshots. And I was like, okay, well, can I tell you what happened? And then I further explained the timeline of events.
She lied to my face and she said, no, I would never do that. What are you talking about?
No, I did not lie to your face. I was trying to hold Onyx accountable for not being truthful on their public platform to thousands of people that follow them who might have believed that that artwork was genuinely made by them because the caption said that it was, when in reality, it was AI.
And so I brought the screenshots up and I said, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm literally looking at this right now. And so then she crumbled. She started crying.
Okay, I'm back to reading my notes that I wrote for this specific part. What you failed to mention is that you began to raise your voice at me, interrupt my story, and accuse me of canceling your best friend. I began to cry out of frustration for almost being yelled at over the phone, not being heard and accused. I raised my voice back because I was not going to allow you to treat me like that when I was trying to be open and honest about what you were coming to me with. This is the part of the phone call where Devo did start to raise his voice at me, and as I was trying to explain the timeline of what happened, so Devo literally started raising his voice at me over the phone. So I immediately got frustrated because not only was he raising his voice at me, but he began to like interrupt my story to the point where I could not get out my explanation. So I got frustrated, and when I get really frustrated, sometimes I cry. I'm not being heard, I'm not being listened to. I began to cry because I was like, Devo, you're not listening to me. And I think even at one point I told him that. I was like, you're not listening. Like, please, can you just like slow down and let me talk to you? Because I can explain all of this. But he just was not letting me do it.
Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know what came over me, but then flip-flopping and saying, I don't know what came over me, but also he's a bad person. You need to stand up against this.
Even though it's been 7 months since this phone call happened, I do remember that I did not say those 3 things. I did not say, I don't know what came over me. I did not say, he's a bad person. And I did not say, you need to stand up to this. Which, sidebar, didn't you already try to stand up to it and Onyx proceeded with the AI usage? Another detail that Devo does not mention in this section of the story is that we actually took a 10-minute break in between our first phone call and then we proceeded to a second phone call because the conversation got so heated to a point where Devo was like, I need to step away for a second. And honestly, I'm glad he said that because it was a very hard phone call. It was one of the worst phone calls I've ever had to have with somebody that I cared about because it was just so heated and emotional and just not proceeding anywhere healthily. So we took a 10-minute break and I ended up calling my best friend in between those 10 minutes because I was just heartbroken. Like I really felt like I was just not being listened to at all. So I called my best friend and we talked, and then Devoglaer called me back, and that is when this next part happens.
Like trying to make me the bad guy.
You're not the bad guy in this, Devo. There is no bad guy in this story. There is somebody who made a mistake and chose to use AI and not be truthful about it.
And so I said, I'm not going to do any of this. In fact, I actually don't know that I can trust having you on my team. I'm not removing you from my community. but I am removing you from my team. To which she begged me to stay.
Begged is not the word I would have used, but I was crying. I was sobbing. I was extremely upset because I felt like I said before, I was not being listened to. I got spoken over. He was raising his voice to the point where we were almost yelling at each other. It was just not healthy at all. It was not productive. It was not a productive conversation. And I also felt like it was a very rash decision in the moment, considering that because I got spoken over and interrupted so many times, Devoglaer was not getting the full accurate story that I was trying to tell him. And so I became very emotional at this sudden decision for him to kick me off the team when he did not have the entire picture. I asked him to please consider taking time to process this information and if we could please have another conversation to follow up because this conversation wasn't productive and it was just too heated and too emotional. And Devoglaer refused and would not even consider being open to having the emotions settle down and then coming back to this later on to where we could both speak to each other clearly and he could hear my explanation without interrupting. And so, yeah, I was extremely upset and I did cry and I said, please, please, please reconsider. Like, please, I really think you are rushing into this. You're not hearing me. You're not listening to me. You are not getting the full picture here. Yeah, I was extremely upset. I will be fully transparent with that. That is accurate. I was very upset. But I was not begging for my spot.
She begged me to stay, and I said no. I said, if this were any other situation, you tried to hurt my best friend. If I wasn't a Twitch streamer and if you weren't my mod and I was just Ian, I wasn't Devo, and you tried to hurt my best friend, we would not speak. We would not speak because you tried to hurt him. You tried to hurt me. That's my best friend. And that's not holding him accountable, that's canceling him. So I made the decision to remove her from my mod team.
So Devo did remove me from the mod team, and then actually later, either that night or the next day, I cannot remember which day it was, he actually timed me out on Discord to where I could not talk to anyone for 7 days. So although he said he was not going to remove me from the community, he did absolutely silence me to be able to interact with the community during this time. And this came without any communication. It did come as a shock because he said he wasn't going to remove me, but this essentially is removing me for 5 days to the point where I cannot speak to anyone and I'm being silenced. I heard through the grapevine that they thought that I was going to say something, which was not the case. I was extremely upset at the whole thing. And actually a moderator reached out to me because Devo told the staff team right after our phone call that I was no longer a part of the team. And although I do not know what Devoglaer told the staff, and this moderator didn't really tell me at all what Devoglaer told them, my other close moderator friend in the staff team didn't reach out to me until I reached out to them about a week later or so, and I basically said I really hated the silence in between us and I really wanted to see if they were okay to talk, and they were. So we ended up calling on the phone and having a conversation, and they were very distraught over the situation and what had happened. But at the same time, they proceeded to be there for me during my time of need and during my moments where I was overthinking about the situation and I was trying to just navigate how I was going to figure out how to even approach Devo next to see if we could have another conversation about what happened. So I really do just want to say I appreciate these two people so much for just listening to me despite my mistakes and how I went about it. Another thing that I need to notify everybody of was that my moderator friend who was talking to me and just being there for me throughout this whole insane thing, she let me know that Onyx wanted to have a phone call and Devo talked to her as well after she went against the group and defended me, which I am very thankful that she spoke up against what their opinions were and gave her own opinion and her view. Onyx actually wanted to call her, and she did end up having the phone call with Onyx, and she texted me about it. And these are the text messages where she let me know what her thoughts were. And then we actually had a phone call on Discord to talk about it too. And she let me know that it was one of like Onyx like did most of the talking. She barely spoke, and it seemed like the entire reason for the phone call was to get her on their side, which is just mind-boggling to me because like why are you picking up the phone and trying to wrangle somebody who has their own opinion about the situation, rightfully so. Everyone's, entitled to their own opinion and how they want to perceive things. To pick up the phone and have a phone call and try to draw her into your side is just a really scummy thing to do, in my opinion. And also, Onyx reached out to my in real life best friend and messaged them and texted them basically saying that they were in Austin. This was later down the road. But basically, Onyx came to visit Devoglaer in Austin when Devoglaer moved. And they messaged my best friend on, I think it was Instagram, and basically said, "Hey, I'm in Austin if you want to connect again." This is weird because the only other time Onyx has interacted with either me or my best friend was when we flew to LA to go to Vogler's Halloween party in LA. I maybe messaged Onyx here and there because I remember I messaged them about the LA fire because I was very sad about that for them. Okay, but other than that, we were not having regular conversations or regular connections. So for Onyx to reach out to my personal, in real life, best friend after only interacting with him at the party just seemed very random and very weird.
That's when things started to spiral. Less than 24 hours later, I received an email from this person.
I sent the email on March 25th, 6 days later. I do not know why Devo claims that I sent it 24 hours later. It could absolutely just have been a mistake of him forgetting, but that is kind of hard for me to believe when it is literally dated not only on the email that he could have referenced and looked back up before saying this, but also on the actual PDF file that I shared with the team. So no, it was not sent 24 hours later. It literally has a date on the email and on the apology document, which I will share with you guys to be able to read. I think it's important that you guys, now that you know the situation publicly, that you are able to read what I sent the moderators and to Vogler so that you can get a clear picture as to what they also read and to come to your own personal conclusion onto how you perceive this apology. But I think it's really important that you guys are getting the full transparency from my side. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, because I do not want to hide it and I have nothing to hide. So that's why I'm completely fine sharing these, because this is exactly what I shared with the team in Devoglaer.
I received a PDF that was addressed to me and the entire mod team saying, "I've changed. I know I abused my power. I know I went behind your back. I know I tried to cancel your best friend, but I'm a good person. And I've changed. In the past 20 hours, I'm a different person, and I would never do that to you again."
The issue with Devo claiming I said these things in this PDF is that A, they are non existent, B, it lacks verifiability, meaning none of you are able to check if it's accurate until now, and that it could be misrepresented, which it is, and that it opens the door for misinformation. And then C, be misleading or false, which it is. I take this very seriously, as this is a written document shared to Devo and 6 other people who know what it contains. They know the date, they know the subject, and they can easily look at it if they need. To misrepresent my apology when you could have easily referenced it by quoting what I said is not okay. Do not add on to what I said to fit the narrative you want to feed these people who cannot see it. You know it is not okay either. And if you don't, now you do, because now you look untrustworthy. And that's not a jab, that's the reality of what just happened. You cannot, on a written document, add whatever extra sprinkle of drama you want to stretch it into something that sounds worse. This isn't Build-A-Bear. These are my exact words, and pardon my tone here, but shame on you. And shame on the moderators in the chat when they were listening to this who let it happen. You guys have the document. Nobody said anything in the chat. And yet you let Devoglaer speak like this. That is not okay. Shame on you as well.
And so I said, please do not respond to this. There is not enough time in between what just happened and now for me to accept that you've changed in any capacity. I just, people can change. I believe that, but it's not enough for me. I need time.
Again, this email and apology was sent 6 days later after my last phone call with Devo when everything went down. So for him to misrepresent the timeline here is just careless and not okay to do, because you guys don't know the timeline, and now he's telling you this inaccurate timeline, which is not truthful. I sent that apology and that email 6 days later. And these details absolutely do matter, because if he's telling you one thing and claiming that it is the 100% truth, and I am saying another with proof that contradicts what he is saying, then he comes across as unreliable. And that's not okay for you guys to have to go through. That's not cool, especially if you are fully trusting in his word and his side of the story. The final thing I need to add to this part of the story is that after I sent the apology, sometime in the middle of the night, I got banned from everything. They read the apology during the night and talked about it in the mod chats, which I do have screenshots of those mod chats. Will not air those out here because it's brutal. They banned me and blocked me from everything, and I proceeded to get zero communication or response on anything. Total blackout, total darkness.
And so I said, please don't. So then, less than 24 hours later, I get a call. I get a call from one of my mods. And this mod basically called me crying.
That is inaccurate. This moderator did not call Devoglaer crying, and they actually verified with me. They also verified with me that they don't actually remember when this phone call happened, so him claiming again that it happened 24 hours later, we cannot lean on that because we do not know.
And begged me not to speak about it publicly, saying, Devo, you cannot say anything about this. And I was like, why? Like, why wouldn't I? Like, well, first of all, I'm not going to say anything about it. There's no need to say anything about it. I don't want my personal business out there. I don't want to be doing this 7 months later, okay? But here I am. What do you mean? And so this mod was best friends with this former person, this former mod. And she said, well, I called her last night to check in on her and see how she was doing. And she told me, and I'm going to quote,
"Don't do that.
If Devo says anything about this publicly, I am going to ruin his life. My dad is a lawyer, and I will sue him for defamation. I will make sure that his life is completely over."
Yeah, so that's why you shouldn't have done that. Because I didn't say that. That never happened. That was never said to this best mod friend of mine. What was said was, I sent you a text, and this is what the text said. I did tell my moderator friend that my dad is a lawyer, but I did not tell her that I was going to use my dad to bring Devoglaer down. I just told her that my dad's a lawyer, okay? And I asked Devoglaer to not, say anything slanderous or defamatory, but that was the extent of it. I never threatened to sue. I'm not threatening to sue. That's not what's happening. So I'm not quite sure where Devoglaer is getting this.
And so I chose to be silent. So I said, I'm not going to say anything. Not because I was afraid of getting sued, but honestly because there's nothing to sue for. I wanted to be the bigger person. I wanted to just say, you need to get away from me. You need to get away from my friends. You need to get away from my family. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to talk about you. I don't ever want to see you again. You got your wish. I won't say anything. And so now, over the course of the last 7 months, this former mod has consistently and repeatedly attempted to hurt me, hurt the people around me, manipulate my community against me, and I am genuinely over it. I'm exhausted, and I want it to stop, which is why I'm talking about it now. It started with a few people who were close to me. This former mod reached out to them in an attempt to gaslight them into thinking that they were bad people because they had shared the original screenshots with me. Literally messaging people saying, hey, I want to talk to you. How are you? I know it's been a while. It's been like 2 months at this point.
On our last phone call that was told to you earlier, Devo let me know that he knew about the screenshots and also told me that those people shared them with him. That was said earlier as well. So I didn't know until that moment that these people had shared the screenshots, and I was trying to wonder why. I was curious as to why. So yes, after time away, I reached back out to those 2 people who I had spoken to about Onyx and wrote them an apology as well. In the letters, I asked both of them why they shared the screenshots with Devo because they never told me they were upset about the things I said. That in regards to my opinions about Onyx and the AI. I was respectfully asking for clarity about why they didn't express anything to me first.
And then after the conversation started, saying, you know, you really hurt my feelings by telling Devo what we had talked about privately. I think that you need to apologize to me for exposing what I did.
When I messaged these 2 people again, I jumped straight into the letter. There was no pre-conversation before. I also did not say any of what he just claimed in the letters. And here are the letters. It's really not hard if Devo really does have these screenshots to just reference the screenshots. It's getting to a point in the video and like during his stream where it's getting more and more and more and more irritating that Devoglaer is stretching things as far as he can to try and make it sound worse than it seems, or he's adding things. And it's not okay, especially because I have evidence to prove otherwise. And later on, he totally diverts from the original issue of the AI issue in Onyx and totally just sprinkles in like a whole bunch of stuff and like stuff about me that he has opinions on that I never knew about. So it's just a whole mess. So I just think it's very fascinating and just shitty. Like, just really shitty of him to do. Like, not necessary.
And so, of course, these people who are my friends, who are my fucking family, who are my community, they shared that with me too. And so I told them everything. I said, and this is private, I said, this is what happened. Here's the timeline of events. You can do whatever you'd like with this information. I'm not saying that you have to eliminate this person from your life. I'm not saying you have to do anything, but this is, just so you know, this is what's happening here. I wrote a little sidebar. I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, there is a thing that I wrote here. I try my best to be very active with my demons. When I came up with this community, I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna call it. I just was like, I wanna start streaming. And then very quickly, I was like, ooh, let me make up this character, let me make up the demon. And then the demon brood became a thing. And I became the demon dad. I became the demon father to a lot of people. And so, like a lot of streamers, I try my best to be as active as possible. And when I see people who are in like every single like stream, who are supporting me, they're there every day, they're having fun, they're in the Discord, they're hanging out, and then they go silent, I'm like, what's going on? What happened? But I knew, like, and I like had a hunch, you know, I had a hunch that she had been telling them not to come to the stream or worse.
I never told any of the people that I spoke to not watch your stuff or to not join your streams or to not be a part of your community anymore. I actually told them the opposite. I said, I don't care if you're still in his streams or hang out in his community. It's weird for me, but I'm not going to tell you what to do and who to hang out with and who you want to be around. I'm not going to force you to pick a side. That's not what this is. So it's the audacity for him to say something like this. It's not the case. It's not what I was telling people. They were allowed to stick around with you if they wanted to. I was fine with that.
Also, by the way, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. Like, I just want you to know, like, I am no longer scared. I'm no longer in a place where this is like an emotional wreck. I don't know if you remember 3 months ago when I had an active breakdown on stream. I deleted the VOD because I was embarrassed. I broke down crying because this had flared up again. But now it's just I'm done. I'm done with it. And so here we are. That is why I started crying that day. So, again, cut to a few months ago. By the way, that was March. Now we're in fucking July. I got a nasty DM from someone saying, and I quote, "Fuck you, Devo. What the fuck did this former mod ever do to you?" Blocked me, left the Discord, unfollowed me on Twitch, blocked me on all socials. Fuck you, Devo. What the fuck did this person ever do to you?
Okay, so the moderator I've been talking to, my best friend moderator, actually messaged me about this. I did not know about this. I had told them what had happened with me regarding me leaving the brood and why I was gone. I told them my side of the story, the one you're hearing now, but I did not tell them to DM Devo this. I did not. This was fresh news to me too. I had no idea this happened until she told me about it. I then confronted this person in a Discord DM to ask about it because I knew Devo and the staff would think I told them to do it, which I did not. I asked them if they DM'd Devo what was said, and they claimed they did not remember doing it. I then returned later to express I knew they did it and asked why they did not tell me the truth the first time. They expressed they didn't know why and were sorry. I told them they are allowed to do what they want, but they didn't have to be untruthful to me about this. I asked if they had apologized to Devo for what they said. They said they'd not apologized and didn't know how to talk to anyone in that space anymore, and I expressed that they should apologize. I encouraged this person to apologize because I felt bad. I was like, this is a mean message. Like Devo and I clearly do not agree on the stories, like my story versus his story versus Onyx's story, whatever. And that's perfectly fine. We don't have to agree. Okay? But I'm not out here insulting him. I'm not out here throwing insults and talking smack about him publicly online. That's just not what I'm doing. So I really wanted this person to apologize because I didn't want it to ever get to a point where people were throwing insults at each other or calling names. That's never, never, ever, ever a good place to end. Even though we don't see eye to eye, I don't want hate towards Devoglaer.
And this is someone who I talked to, I had been on the phone with them, crying, like been there for them. Literally, fuck you. So again, I knew. I mean, at this point, I mean, she mentioned who it was. But I'm like, I'm not going to retaliate or say anything. It just doesn't feel right, you know? Like, it doesn't feel right. Because here's the thing. I am not interested in playing a dirty game with someone who is obsessed. Like, ew. Ew. You can do whatever you'd like with this information. I'm not saying that you have to eliminate this person from your life. I'm not saying you have to do anything. But this is, just so you know, this is what's happening here.
Okay, this is the part in the stream where Devo completely diverts from the original issue, which was about Onyx and AI. And now he starts telling stories about me and interactions that he and I both had in private that have nothing to do with the original issue. It's my personal opinion that he is doing this just to add things to make it all sound worse than it is and to try and just talk poorly about me. A lot of this was information that I had no idea. If he actually felt this way, he never told me. He never told me. He never had a conversation with me about it. And honestly makes me feel like the majority of our friendship after all this, the things that he talks about, that he like secretly hated me or like didn't love me and didn't like me at all, because I never knew about this. We never had any adult conversation about it. And because I didn't know about any of this, and when I first watched the stream the first time, I was freaking shocked because I was like, Is this is this how you felt about me for months? Like, I'm talking like 4+ months, right? Because his birthday, he brings up his birthday, and I will talk about that. He brings up like for like a birthday stream, like subathon, right? He talks about that later. And I remember that conversation very clearly. I actually didn't want to have that conversation. I was trying to tell him like, oh, it doesn't matter, like I don't want to talk about it. And he actually pressured me into telling him what was wrong. And you'll hear about this in a little bit, but basically what I'm trying to say is like, was our friendship completely fake then, since you apparently held all these grudges and like were like seriously upset with me? And also, you're an adult, you're older than me. Why can't you just like, pardon me, but like grow up and talk to me about it? And I know this is gonna come flying through like a bullet. I could never come talk to you about this. Yeah, you could have. I constantly, throughout our quote unquote friendship, if that's what it even was, I constantly told you, like, dude, we can talk about whatever you want. I'm a super open person. I'm a super open book. And then he said, well, I'm a super open book too. Like, so it's really sad when I think about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what was real at this point? Because if you really felt this way throughout months and months and months of our friendship, and you never came to me about it, to talk to me about it, like, did you secretly hate me? Like, what's going on? Like, it's really crappy. It's like, you're an adult. If you have a problem with someone, talk to them about it. But this is the pattern that Devo goes through. It's just a consistent pattern of how Devo approaches conflict. It's very consistent. And there are stories of Devoglaer, like, with previous drag artists that he worked with. They don't like him for their own reasons. And guess what? It all ties back to conflict. I think there's a common denominator here. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I guess you hated me the whole time and our friendship was fake. So good to know. Thank you very much.
It gets worse, by the way. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. So I want to give you some context as well.
Okay, notice, like, right here, he says, I'm going to give you some context. This is super unnecessary, just in general. We've completely diverted from the original issue, which was Onyx and the AI. And also, the things that he's talking about in this section of this stream happened long before Onyx and the AI situation. So Devo is purposely going back in time and pulling stories that he can use to make me seem like a really crappy person. And it's just like, dude, put it to rest. If you really want to put this to rest, this part of the stream is so unnecessary. Now you're just being mean.
This mod has been to my home. I literally invited them to my birthday party. My birthday party with only close friends. They flew across state lines to come to my birthday party.
Diva says this like it's a bad thing, but he actually invited the entire mod team to his house in California for the birthday. In California, back in October 2024, I was invited to his birthday party and invited my best friend to come with me. So we went.
And then when they got too drunk and embarrassed because they thought that I was ashamed that they were too drunk, I held them while they cried. I literally, at my own birthday party, fucking held this person while they sobbed about how embarrassed they were that they had gotten too drunk. And by the way, they hadn't gotten too drunk. They were just a little in their head, which is totally fine.
This is a story that I didn't really tell anybody. I told two of my close moderator friends on the team. And then, of course, my best friend who was there with me knew about it. This is something that I am very disappointed that he is talking about, because it's just not necessary, and it's also not as dramatic as he's making it sound. So basically, what had happened. So Devo says, when they got too drunk, I had 2 seltzers, and then Devo's cousin made me a mixed drink and my best friend the same drink, and it was extremely strong. We didn't even finish the drink entirely because it was that strong. The drink was so strong that I started to feel the effects coming on a lot faster than I wanted to go, because I'd only had 2 seltzers, and now this drink was suddenly sending me to where I was starting to feel woozy and just like, the effects of alcohol. I was not ready to feel that so quickly, and I was starting to get really nervous about it. But it was too late, and unfortunately, I started to have a panic attack. I was in an unknown house with unknown people, and now I felt unsafe because of how the alcohol was hitting me. Nathan came over to me as soon as he noticed and got Devo as well, because I was starting to literally have a panic attack because I did not want to be drunk so quickly, and the drink just did it for me and sent me over, and I was really frustrated and anxious because it was hitting me. Devo took me downstairs to his cousin's apartment and sat with me to help me calm down. I was anxious, I was ruining the party, and he talked me through it, saying I was just in my head and he is aware of how strong his cousin made the drink. No fault to Devo's cousin at all, by the way. She was super fun to hang out with, and she was also super kind and very funny. Then Onyx showed up because he noticed his best friend was missing from upstairs. And so they both sat with me and comforted me through my panic attack and just kind of talked me, out of my head. They helped me loosen my corset. I was wearing a corset that night, and they were like, is that like, I think that's like preventing you from breathing fully. So they like loosened it for me, and we chatted, and it really was incredibly kind of both of them to help me get through my panic attack and just kind of the moment I was in. And I got water, and it was really nice of them to both sit with me. And then we went back upstairs to the party, and the night went on with zero issues. Did a photo shoot. It was super fun. Went through the haunted house. So yeah, I want to really reiterate that, like, despite everything and like all the shitty stuff that's already been said so far, like this moment, and as much as I wish he didn't tell the public about this, they were very nice to me.
So then I moved to Texas because my house almost burned down. I drove 4 hours to their best friend's birthday party because they begged me to.
Nope, my best friend invited you and Nathan on their own, and he actually told me about it later. And here are the screenshots that show that. Nathan also called me and asked me if I was going to my best friend's birthday party, and I was like, yeah, why? And he was like, oh well, invited us and we were gonna go if you were gonna go. Literally had a phone call with Nathan, and he was like, we're gonna go if you're gonna go. I didn't beg Devoglaer to go. I didn't even invite him.
And then when I got to that birthday party, they turned it into the fucking Ian Devoglaer meet and greet because her best friend loves Dragula. Oh my God, this is Ian. He produced Dragula. Oh my God, so and so. You should meet Ian. He produced Dragula. Do you know how weird that is? To drive 4 hours to your own meet and greet is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's super weird because that literally didn't happen, but okay. So my best friend does love Dragula. And notice how Devoglaer only says, and her best friend loves Dragula. Not me. I like Dragula. I wouldn't say I'm like their biggest fan or anything. I don't even watch the show anymore. But I find it really funny that they literally, like, Devoglaer literally says, because their best friend loves Dragula. So here's the lowdown, right? The only friends that I knew of at that party were my best friend and I's friends from high school. Okay, it was two other dudes, and everybody else at that party I was meeting for the first time. So Devoglaer is making it sound like I already knew all these people and we're like, hey, so and so, come meet Ian. Like, that's not what was happening. My best friend loves Dragula. That is true. That is very true. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. So the other friends that I didn't know at that party knew about Dragula because of my best friend. And some party members actually approached Devo and Nathan themselves because they recognized who they were. Not because I prompted them to. They got up and they did it themselves because they were told by my best friend at some point that these two people used to produce the show and direct and all this stuff. And so, yeah, they naturally, that's if somebody is there that worked on a show that you're a fan of, you're gonna go up and be like, hey, what was that like? I never prompted any of those people to get up and be like, oh my gosh, go meet them. Like, yeah, that's them. It baffles me that he's trying to spin it this way. I was not treating it like a meet and greet. That is super cringe. In fact, 99.9% of the time, anytime Devoglaer and I would hang out or we would talk or have a phone call, I never brought up Dragula because Devo literally talks about on stream or has talked about in the past that like he's putting that in the past, and like in the Discord we used to have a Dragula. I think there was like a Dragula, specific Dragula channel only for Dragula posts. And they had to organize that because it was getting annoying to always see like Dragula stuff when Devoglaer doesn't work with Dragula anymore. I think he still does the podcast. I don't know. I don't listen to that anymore. But it's baffling to me that he says I was doing this and that's not the case. And I literally checked with my best friend and I checked with other people from the party to clarify, because when I first saw this I was like, there's no way. I literally talked to these people and I said, did I do that night? And they were like, no, like other people got up and went over and talked to Ian and Nathan. Like you weren't doing that.
Oh, not to mention, the best friend that she tried to cancel also consoled her at my birthday party.
I already talked about this to you guys earlier, but yeah, no, Onyx did come down and console me.
Literally. And after that, she messaged him, "You're such a good person. I love you. I understand why Devo is friends with you."
I was always nice to Onyx. I was always nice. Just because you don't like someone doesn't mean that you have to be mean to them or that you can't be nice to them. I can dislike someone and still be an adult and be kind to them. I even messaged them during the LA fires because they were posting on their story and they were super stressed out. And I was like, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I'm thinking about you. I can still be a nice person and and still dislike someone. But yeah, Onyx and I were never having like full blown conversations or anything like that. I would be kind here and there because I have empathy for people. This person, if I see them as a very performative fake person, but that doesn't mean my empathy for another human flies out the window just because I don't like them, right? I'm still gonna be kind to them. I'm still gonna, reach out and be nice, okay? I don't like them, but I'm still gonna be nice and be there for them when, LA's on fire and they're super stressed out about it and stuff.
So then it gets worse, but I mean, how can it possibly get even weirder? When I moved, again, because my house almost fucking burned down, literally moved across country in a fucking week. You know what the first thing they said to me was, "Hey, give me your address so I can come over and be on your stream."
This was a non-written thing, and I couldn't find it in any of our messages, which leads me to believe that this happened on a phone call. It is partially true. I did mention to Devo on call that he now, he lives in Texas, and I could come visit him once he got settled and had time in his schedule. And then I pitched the idea that maybe when that did happen and he's ready to collab, we could do a co-stream. I did not ask for his address, but I did pitch the collab idea. It's really not that, like, he's making it sound so bad, and it's just not the case. I do remember, I was like, hey, oh my gosh, and like, we're neighbors technically. Like, when you get settled and when you're all set up with your new computer, I pitched the idea. I was like, hey, when you get settled and you're ready, you let me know. Maybe we could do a co-stream. That'd be super fun. That's literally all it was.
So then we could also talk about the time where I was considering playing Dead by Daylight for 5 seconds.
It wasn't a consideration. He did play with me and my mod best friend at least twice. Because, and he actually talks about it on stream. I don't know where that stream is. I don't know if it's uploaded on his YouTube or not. But he literally talks about it, I remember, because I was like, remember when you dead-hearted into nothing? And he talked about it on stream. He literally told the stream, oh yeah, I was playing with so-and-so and Catarella, and we played some Dead by Daylight. And then he proceeded to be like, it's not really my vibe, which that's cool, fine with you. But so not a consideration. I literally still have him added on Dead by Daylight as a friend. I'm not going to share that here, but he's literally in my list because we added each other and played a custom match where me and my mod best friend like took turns playing Killer. And I think Devo played Killer too at one point. It was a lot of fun at the time.
And they love Dead by Daylight. They love Dead by Daylight, and that's fine. You're not a bad person for liking Dead by Daylight, even though I do question. They proposed to me on the phone. They said, hey, Devo, what if I made tutorial videos so that you can show the Boulay brothers and give me credit? And maybe you can introduce me.
I never said the ending parts of what he just said. I never said that to him. I never said, you can give me credit and then you can introduce me. That's insane. I never said that. So it was actually me and my mod best friend who pitched this idea. I did it first, and then my mod best friend pitched the idea to him as well. So here are the screenshots of the conversation me and my mod best friend had. So here are the screenshots of that, literally like this. And so for him to say like, I I'm sorry. You know what? It just speaks for itself. And then also here is the screenshot of the thumbnail I made. Once Devoglaer gave us the thumbs up, like, yeah, that's fine. They might not see it. And the funny thing is like he literally said, you know, like, yeah, I'll pass the videos on to the Boulets, but just be aware they might not watch it. He said that to both me and my mod best friend, and we were like, oh yeah, no, we're like totally aware if they never see it, that's totally fine, but you know, it'll be there if they ever want to eventually see it, or if they never see it, whatever. The idea for us to make tutorials was just fun in general, and I actually made the first video, but I never went anywhere because Devogler never spoke about it again. So we were like, oh, okay, well, I get if you know if he's not enthusiastic about it, we won't do it. So we actually just dropped it entirely, and we didn't end up doing anything. But yeah, I just think it's really funny how he's trying to spin this one, and saying it was only me. No, there were two people involved.
And when I said, I don't think I'm going to be doing that, that's crossing a professional line, she got upset with me.
No, you said it was perfectly fine for us to do it, but you also just clarified that they might not ever see it. It's right here.
That led her to shame me for my first and only subathon.
Pretty sure his subathon was before November or early November because it was for his birthday. I think it was in October. I'm not sure, but he's got the timeline wrong here.
The only subathon I've ever done was for my birthday last year, okay? This person called me and said, you're a greedy, selfish person for doing a subathon. There are children who need that money.
I actually remember this phone call. It was a few days into the subathon, not at the start. I was upset, and it felt wrong at the time to have a subathon during a time where there were so many awful things happening in the world. The news was popping off that month, and I was keeping up to date on it. And I didn't actually show up to a lot of that subathon because it was affecting my mental health. So Deep and I think it was just like a check-in call, like a, hey, what's going on? We just kind of had those occasionally. And he was asking me what was wrong on the phone because I sounded upset. All this other stuff that he says that, like, I called him, like, he's a terrible person for doing a subathon. There are kids that need that money. I never said that to him. I don't know who he was on the phone with, because it wasn't me, because I didn't say that. Devo asked what was wrong on the phone because I sounded upset, and I'm not somebody who likes to hide my genuine emotions from friends, but I just tried to move the conversation away from it because I didn't feel like it was serious enough to talk about. It was my personal feelings at the end of the day, and I was already not joining streams because of the news just kind of affecting me, and I wanted to be able to work through it by myself, and it wasn't that serious to talk about. Like, it was me, like, it was me and my personal feelings about it, but Devo kept prying me to tell him about it, so I did. I told him it felt really weird about celebrating a subathon during such a news heavy times and how my heart was hurting from the news. It was hard for me to celebrate him, and that's why I wasn't attending a lot of the subathon. I expressed how silly it seemed to me to act this way and how it felt awkward to see him ask for so much money for the stream. The reason why I felt so uncomfortable is because I was not familiar with subathons, and the general idea of them didn't really appeal to me, so that's why I wasn't showing up as well. I didn't call him a greedy, selfish person. He would have clocked me on the spot for that, and I recall that conversation going very well, and he was understanding and even explained further about what a subathon was and why he was pricing things the specific prices they were. He literally walked me through all the different pricing for the subathon and why he was pricing it that way. Also, if he actually was genuinely mad at me for this conversation, he never came and talked to me about it. Instead, he goes online publicly and just shares it randomly, and it has nothing to do with the original problem, with his, guys, remember Onyx and the AI? But also, I recall this conversation going really well, but I also didn't even want to tell him about it, but he literally pressured me into telling him. And then he was like, I pulled a Drac Morta on you, meaning he basically manipulated me into telling him what was wrong when I didn't want to tell him what was wrong.
And so I gotta be honest, anytime I try, it makes me so fucking anxious to do anything related to money on the stream. And no one's like, look, no one, like, this is not your job to care about like this part of the issue.
This part of the issue is Onyx and the AI. You're just sprinkling extra stuff. Like, the original issue was Onyx and the AI. That sounds like a band name, honestly. But like, what part of the issue are you talking?
But as someone who streams 5 days a week and is active in my Discord and who actively produces content, makes photo shoots, does things, invests in my business as an artist, this person literally said, "You're a greedy, selfish person for asking for money as an artist." So now, literally, when I did my fucking anniversary thing, I was like, "Nathan, I don't know what to do. Do I ask? Do I do sub incentives?" Like, and he's like, "This is the ecosystem." And I fucking had heartburn over it because I have this voice in the back of my head saying, "You're a greedy, selfish person." So I got more. I'm sorry. I got more. So cut to Monday, September 22nd. A former community member reached out. Oh, sorry, let me like pause. I'm so sorry. I love you all. I don't mean to get heated. Like, let me take a quick second. I love you, Onyx. Hi.
Welcome in, Onyx. We're not even talking about you anymore.
So cut to Monday, September 22nd. A former community member reached out to a mod because someone had told her that I have a secret group chat with my mods where I talk shit about my community.
There's no secret chat. It was literally just the mod staff chats and on voice calls. I have no screenshots of these, so I'm fully aware it's a he said, she said thing. However, I do remember unkind things being said. And if these people, yeah, there's more, by the way. And if these people heard what we were saying, it would hurt their feelings, or they wouldn't like it. So I told them directly and apologized for my part in it. This was the first person I apologized to. My mod friend actually literally spoke to one of the still active mods and mentioned that she remembers these chats happening and these conversations happening and these jokes being made. And she said that to the other moderator, and the other moderator in the text message didn't even acknowledge that she said it in the text. And if it was such a big issue, or if it wasn't true, why wouldn't you take that moment to be like, "No, we never did that, remember? Like, what are you talking about?" It's because it happened. That's why she avoided talking about it with my mod friend. It's because it happened. And let me just be very clear, like, shit talking is a very strong term to use. What was happening is, in these chats, we would talk about the community. And there were people that were annoying, and there were people that were fun, and there were people that talked way too much about Dragula all the time, to the point where we literally had to make a Dragula channel to force those people to post only in that channel for Dragula. Okay, so we would talk about community members. So we would poke fun and say things that if those people were in the room, or they heard it, or they read it, they would probably get their feelings hurt. Because it wasn't like we were bullying them behind the scenes and absolutely ripping them apart, but we were saying things that if they saw it or heard it, they wouldn't like it, and they would be hurt by it.
That I make fun of their art. That I make fun of them. That I actively call them annoying. That I actually hate them. And I talk about it all the time.
Devo never hated any of these people, to be very clear. And also, no, he never talked about it all the time. I don't know where he's getting this.
That I laugh about them behind their backs. And so I told my mod, "Hey, will you please let this person know that that is, of course, not true." This person, by the way, is a child. Okay? I made the decision to make my stream 18 plus this year. And I told this person that they could not be in my streams or in my Discord until they turned 18 because of the nature of my content. I know my content is obscene. Okay? I'm not stupid. Okay? I know that the jokes I make and the stuff I talk about is 18 plus. And so I said, "Hey, I love you. I'm going to stop editing myself. I'm going to be 100% myself. You can no longer be here."
Before he changed over to 18 plus, he would still make really obscene jokes and just act extremely immature on stream, which, like, that's his whole thing. Like, he just makes really out of pocket, gross sexual jokes most of the time. And before he swapped over to 18 plus, he was still doing that. I don't think it was nearly as bad as it is now. I mean, right? I mean, it's bad now. It's really bad. But yeah, no, before he swapped over to 18 plus, he would still act very obscene and just gross. But you know, the audience found it funny. It wasn't even like censoring that much. It was still pretty bad.
This former mod literally lied and manipulated a child in an attempt to hurt them and to hurt me. I also want to mention that this person has been very, very upfront and vocal about their neurodivergence. This person is autistic and has clinical OCD. This person is 17. And this former mod is going to them and saying, Devo makes fun of you, Devo hates you, trying to fucking hurt a child, by the way.
Devo never hated this person, and this person knows that Devo, like, I never told this person that Devo ever hated them. But there were things behind the scenes said that if they had heard it or read it or seen it or whatever, they would have been hurt by it. Regardless of if it's a poking fun joke or not, you know, whatever they were doing in the chats, they would have been hurt by it if they heard any of the things we had said in staff meetings and the voice calls and stuff like that. We actually had to time out this person for a week because at one point, I think this person was using we had like a channel in the Discord where people could go and just kind of rant about, you know, life problems and stuff like that, or if they needed life advice or whatever it was. And this person was using that channel so much, and they were posting in it a lot, but a lot of the things that they were posting weren't anything that anyone could really help them on, and they were doing it so much and way too consistently to the point where we literally had to hold a meeting, a staff meeting, and talk about it. And then we also, I remember we had a staff discussion about this person posting way too much about Dragula. That's why I brought it up earlier. And like, look, Dragula, they love Dragula. That's their special interest. They absolutely adore it. And like, there's no problem with that. But we did have to hold a staff meeting, and we eventually timed this person out. I think we timed them out because of the posting in the like self-help chats way too much. But we literally had to time them out. So I remember specifically in those conversations, there were things where, like, oh my gosh, if this person had been hearing what we were saying, like, it wasn't bullying or anything like that, but like, they would have been hurt by, you know, the things we were saying because it wasn't, we were like having issue with them. And granted, it was a problem, right? Like, they shouldn't have been posting so much, but there were other things said in those staff calls that just like weren't necessary to say. And I went to this person and directly apologized, and also told them my mod best friend apologizes as well because they were involved as well. That's really the extent of it. I'm not saying that we absolutely bullied this person behind the scenes. Also, I did go through my messages to see if I had anything when I was talking to any of the moderators, and this is the only message that I could find where we directly did talk about this specific person. This was with one of the other moderators on staff, and I was involved too. I just want to like be super clear. This is why I reached out to this person. I told them, I was like, look, behind the scenes, the staff wasn't too kind. We made jokes and we poked fun, and if you had been there, you wouldn't have liked it. I want to directly apologize because I'm no longer a part of the staff, and it wasn't cool of us to do that.
So, earlier this week, on October 5th, I get a text from a friend saying someone else in my community got a message from this former mod saying, you are an unsafe person because you choose to associate with Devo. Knowing that you are in his community is hurtful to me, and so I am removing you from my life.
It looks like Devo is reading the exact message here because he's looking at the screen. That or this person completely paraphrased the actual screenshot. Here's the actual message that I sent this person, which, as you can see, Devo completely shortens to just a few sentences. He also pauses halfway through, quote unquote, reading.
Knowing that you are in his community,
which I think is really interesting. And then at the end, he types something. I don't know if he's messaging his mods or what, or if he's like changing what is written on whatever document he's reading from. I just think it's a very interesting detail to note, considering that he is literally just paraphrasing what I said. And if he's directly reading from it, like, dude, just quote me.
This person had no idea that there was even an issue and was hurt by this. Being blocked for no reason.
This person actually blocked me after this happened and blocked me on Instagram and unadded me before I could do anything. I did not block this person. Now they are blocked because I just. This person doxed me on Instagram, and so I really want nothing ever to do with this person ever again. Also, this person did know that I was like still kind of working through like having people in my community still part of Devoglaer's community, because the month prior I actually let them go as one of my moderators. They were helping me mod, and they were helping me run my Discord. And so I actually messaged them a month before explaining, hey, I think it's time if I let you go as my mod. You guys can go ahead and read the messages here. So for Devoglaer to say that this person had no idea there was even an issue, yes, they did. They did know, because a month prior I let them go as my moderator because I was just trying to navigate how to have people in both communities at the same time, which ultimately did lead me to literally shedding everyone from Devoglaer's community out of my community. I sent multiple people messages. We'll get to that later because Devoglaer does bring that up, but that is why.
Other than this former mod weaponizing her mental health 7 months later. This happened in March. It's October, girl.
You do not get to dictate when someone heals from something in the timeline they follow to do so. Just like I don't dictate that for you. Remember what you said earlier?
3 months ago, when I had an active breakdown on stream, I deleted the VOD because I was embarrassed. I broke down crying because this had flared up again.
You saying that it's October, girl. Someone's hurt is theirs and theirs only. You do not get to decide when they move on or how they choose to do so. I chose to remove people still involved in your community, and you're mad at me for it? Wouldn't this make you happy since you want nothing to do with me?
It is October. So finally, last night happens. A demon reached out to one of my mods with a concern. They got a text saying the exact same thing. This is last night while I'm on stream. This person reached out and said, hey, I got a text this week. I got a text this week that said, you are an unsafe person because you are in Devo's community, and you being there is detrimental to my mental health, and so I'm cutting you off completely.
Okay, so I messaged several people, a moderator of mine, and then the person before, and then another person. So I messaged these people because, yeah, I'd come to the ultimate conclusion after going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and trying to see if it was going to work, and for a while it did. But again, you don't get to dictate how long it takes for someone to process and work through what happened to them. Okay, what happened to me sucked. And I'm not disregarding what I did. I'm fully aware that what I did wasn't cool, right? Those messages that I sent and the things that I called Onyx were not cool. That wasn't kind, right? So I messaged these people because I had come to the ultimate conclusion of, you know what? I just want to revert fully back to how it was before I knew any of these online people. So I sent these messages out and I spoke to each of them. One person I actually had a longer conversation with because they didn't think it was a good idea that I was doing this. And so we had a further conversation about it, and it went really well. And this person was really nice to kind of talk about it. And I asked them further questions. I was like, okay, well, can you tell me why you don't think it's a good idea? And we had a further conversation about it. But ultimately, this is best for me. And ever since I did this, I have been so much happier, and it's been so much nicer and calmer. I have no association with Devoglaer anymore. So I don't understand why he's acting like I was mean to these people when I let them go. Yeah, is it sad to let go of friendships and people that you knew in online spaces? Absolutely. And these are people that during this chapter in my life were incredible and were very kind and did stick with me and did hear my side of the story. Now things have changed, and yeah, I just want to be completely gone from Devoglaer and his people and Onyx's people and all that stuff. I don't want any association. So I let them go.
And so I said, you know what? Actually, let them know that I want to talk. Let them know that I want to talk directly. And so I reached out and I spoke to this person directly. And you know what they told me? They told me all the nasty, hurtful, manipulative lies that my former moderator has been telling them for 7 months. This mod used every single identifying piece of this person to hurt them. Devo thinks you're annoying and talk too much in chat. Devo hates that you call yourself a demon, which, hello, you're my fucking demons. Devo thinks your art is bad. Devo's talking shit about you behind your back. You need to change your Discord server tag because it upsets me. The fact that you have Devo's server tag is so ugly to me, and you're hurting my feelings. You should think about me and change your server tag to mine.
Here are the screenshots of the exact conversation regarding the server tag conversation. They're right here for you to read. I'm not sure where Devoglaer is getting the other pieces of information he claims I said. If this person went to Devoglaer and claimed I said this, then it's a flat out lie. And if Devoglaer has the screenshots, then it's obvious what he's trying to do. He's trying to make it look worse than it seems. I mean, he is not being truthful. I also don't even have a server tag.
What did this person do? They pulled away. Of course they went. And like, look, I don't fucking blame her. If you had been fed lies for 7 months, you'd pull away too, you know? So I don't blame her. I literally said, I'm like, I get it. I get it, and I love you, and I'm sorry, and I understand if you don't want to come back.
Okay. Who wants to tell him?
I understand if you're too hurt to come back. I don't blame you. I hope you do, because I love you and I miss you. And I'm proud of you because you're doing shit in the real world, like, hi. But I get it. It's cool. It's all good. So the reason why I'm bringing this up, finally, and I'm almost done. I know, this has been a long, drawn-out thing. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. You know, I'm over it. I'm exhausted. I can't tell you. And look, this is the, like, pull out the fucking the world's smallest fucking violin for me, because no one cares. No one cares about, but that's actually not true. I know it's not that no one cares, but when you are on stream, you should be on. My job is not to bring the mood down. My job is to have fun with you. That's why I do this. I love you. I want you to come here and have fun. And so the number of times that I have sat my fucking gay ass in this chair and fucking pulled out the Velmo, meanwhile, I've got all this anger, this sadness, this fear of being sued.
I don't want to sue you, Devo. I really don't.
In the back of my mind, because I learned some sort of new information about this person that they're using to fucking tear me down. I mean, I cannot tell you the number of times I have laid in my bed fucking crying until it's every fucking time I'm late to stream because I can't get out of bed because this person has made me feel that way. And so then I fucking drag myself out of bed, get a fucking cup of coffee, sit here, wait for the intro to be over, and then pop up.
So it has affected you previously too, throughout the last few months. And I don't want to disregard his hurt here, right? Like, we both have been hurt by this. In our own different ways, we've both been hurt by this. But earlier when he was saying, it's October, girl, and disregarding my own pain throughout the situation, it's just really, it's just, there's no empathy there. There's no empathy. And all the stuff that you've said so far in this stream, like, it's just really disappointing.
Because of this person, I'm over it. I'm done. I love you all way too much to let that be the reality. I fucking love you, okay? Like, I do not want that to be the driver for why I do this. I want this to be a fun space where we get, need I fucking remind you about what we were doing 20 minutes ago? This is why I do that. Every streamer thinks they have the greatest community in the world, but I have the greatest community in the world. Sorry about it. Just kidding. But no, I do. Like, I have the greatest community in the world, and I have a community that has consistently rallied around me, given me support, and told me that they love me, and that the love that I give them, they give right back to me. And I believe that. And so I refuse to sit idly by while this person goes around like a fucking little rat, lurking in the shadows, DMing people, trying to hurt me.
Devo, parts of my story paint you in a negative light because it is negative. What you did wasn't good. It's not my problem that what happened to me and how you handled it makes you look bad. It's because it was.
Trying to hurt my friends. There's this scene in The Nightmare Before Christmas where Jack Skellington is confronting Oogie Boogie. And this, by the way, this is my comfort movie. This is the movie that, like, is my life. The scene where Jack Skellington goes to confront Oogie Boogie, and as he's about to rip his thread off, he says, "How dare you treat my friends so shamefully?" That is exactly how I feel. You can do shit to me. You can say I'm a bad person. If you know me from my world of producing Dragula, there's an entire world of people who think I'm a bad person.
And I want to be very clear here. Devo, I don't think you're a bad person. I think you made bad decisions. I think you don't process conflict or accountability well and immediately perceive it as an attack. I think Onyx does that as well. And that's my opinion based on my experience with both of you and what happened and how you handled it. But I don't think you are an awful person who deserves hurt and pain.
Because I did my job, and that's fine. But what I won't have is someone who was close to me, a former moderator, going around behind my back, hurting my friends.
I'm out of your community talking to people who want to hear my side of the story, who are curious as to why I'm gone and why I left so suddenly. And I'm allowed to speak about it, just as you are. Again, if what you did to me makes you look bad, then maybe what you did was bad, not handled well. And based off of online and offline people I've spoken to, that's been the reoccurring theme.
Part of the reason why I'm doing this, though, is if this is familiar to you, or if you feel like you know who this is about and you want to talk, my door is wide open. I know I'm historically really bad about DMs. Ask for my fucking phone number. Call me. And I want to talk to you about it. I want to clear the air. I want the opportunity to individually clear the air with you and start cleaning up this mess this person has made. Because enough is enough. It's done. I'm like, let's not do this anymore. Aren't you tired? Because I'm tired. March. 7 months. Anyway, so I love you and I want to move forward. The past 7 months, I've been quiet because I wanted to be the bigger person. But I also realize that by not speaking about it, you may have been hurt by this person. And so I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my plan was wrong.
I really don't like that he said that here because it sounds very manipulative to the audience. So basically what he's saying that if I hadn't talked to anyone behind the scenes about my side of the story, his plan would have been still right. Is that what that is? He was allowed to talk about it behind the scenes privately to people, but I wasn't.
I wanted to be the bigger person and I wanted to protect myself. I wanted to say, I don't want to fucking get sued. Okay? I don't want to get sued and I don't want to bring that to you. You know, it's like, it's been 7 months. So if you have been hurt by this person, if you know what I'm talking about and you want to talk about it, come to me. I love you. I'm sorry this is happening. Yeah. And so the last thing I'm going to say, and I wrote this down because I wrote it all down. The Demon Brood is the greatest community in the world, and you have all saved me in so many ways. I love you all, and I can't wait for what's to come. That's it. Period.
Okay, before I say my closing message, I do have some pieces of further information I do want to bring forward. So my first piece of information is that the album cover was not the only time Onyx used AI. They used AI again after they sent out their apology. They used AI around Easter and they posted an Instagram post using the AI. Someone from Devoglaer and Onyx's community actually reached out and told me about this, and that's how I know about it. I'm blocked. I couldn't have seen it. So somebody reached out to me and told me about it. So I just find it really interesting. Even though they sent out an apology, like they still used AI. Like AI is AI, even if it's a filter. Like where does the line get drawn? Like, if you're a part of both communities, if you're a leader in both Onyx community and Devoglaer's community, and one has an AI role and the other doesn't, you can't just toe the line. But anyways, I just wanted to inform you of that. I also wanted to inform you, and I mean, I'm assuming the community is aware that this is AI, but Devoglaer is currently using AI for his chatbot. He's using Frosty Tools AI, and it is generative AI. And recently on a stream, he and a special guest were talking about how they are against all AI and all use of AI.
And on a serious note, aside from jokes and all that, we just want to make clear that we do not support the use of Gen AI in any sort of game development or any sort of a creative endeavors. m- uh, what's the word in English? Mainly, not only, but anyway, we just do not support Gen AI at all. We don't think it's a good thing. We just know that this AI is fucking up the world. It started as like this interesting idea, and then of course a bunch of white men fucked it up for everybody as anything in this world.
And that's on period.
So I'm not sure if the rules have changed in Devogler's community. I'm not in that community anymore. I have no idea. So I just wanted to bring this forward because I think it's a concern that the community needs to be aware of, but also have a discussion about. And Devogler, I think you need to address it because which is it? Are you against AI and the use of AI? But then here you are using it as a chatbot. Anyways, I just want to bring that to light because I think it's a really great discussion point. It's not to call Devogler out and get him in trouble or anything like that, but no one is talking about it, and the use of it hasn't stopped as far as I can tell. It's just something that I think is a great discussion point for that community to have. Again, I really do not want any hate towards Devogler or Onyx or any of the community members. And I just want to be very clear, I'm exhausted too. I don't want to do this. I don't want to continue doing this. I don't want to. I really don't. But I think it was super unfair that Devogler hopped on stream live and spoke about this and also exaggerated so much of the proof that I have. And I don't think that should be just discarded and thrown out the window. I loved this person at one point, and to see him say those things and stretch the truth and elaborate and add things on to what actually happened, it's really sad to see because I don't have to do that with my side of the story. I don't. And that's not me being like my side of the story is better. Like I don't have to. My side of the story, I'm fully aware of my actions and I'm fully aware of how I hurt these people. And I've apologized and I've tried to make it better. I tried to make it better and I got completely shut down and kicked out. And so I went and I spoke about it to people who I trusted. And then these people then ran to Devogler with the information, and now he gets to hop on his stream and absolutely twist the story to fit his narrative. And I just think that's really unfair. So, I also do want to add just some further clarifying things that are important to the story because something recent has occurred. But while this was going on, and towards the beginning of when this whole thing started, Devogler told my mod best friend that she could still be friends with me. Okay, that was a very important part because we are best friends. And so this person let me know that, hey, like, Devo said we're cool to stay friends. That's totally fine. So we proceeded on with our friendship throughout me being kicked out and banned and all this stuff. We proceeded being friends, hanging out, playing video games. And then, apparently, this was what was told to me. My mod best friend came to me one day and said, hey, I've got bad news. It's off the table. Basically, what I heard was Devogler gave my mod best friend an ultimatum of you can either choose Catarella or you can choose the team. And basically what was told to me was, and this is not quote for quote, okay? I want to be very clear about that. But what I heard was that this moderator could either choose either or, okay? And if they chose me, they would not be allowed to be on the team full time, like for the full time anymore. We had a phone call about it. I don't have any written evidence of us talking about it. We called on Discord. But basically what was told to them was that they wouldn't be allowed to be a full staff member if they were still friends with me. They would be essentially cut off to very basic interactions, which I think is just baffling to me that an ultimatum was given when, after all of this happened, Devogler was perfectly fine with us being friends. Then he got upset and was like, actually, no, you can't be associated with her. Here's your ultimatum. A phone call was allegedly supposed to happen where Devogler was supposed to talk to this person more about it. I don't believe that phone call ever happened. I think it just kind of fell off and maybe Devo forgot about it. Maybe they just decided to drop it. I have no idea. Another thing I do want to let you guys know was after this stream was posted, my best friend mod friend got kicked out completely from the staff team, completely removed, blocked out, no access, without any communication from the mod team or from Devogler himself. Now, it can be assumed that that's because Devogler knows that we're best friends and probably assumed that we were talking behind the scenes, which, yeah, we were because we're best friends and you told us we could be best friends. We could stay best friends. But also, the audacity for you to decide who I'm friends with and who they're friends with is just insane to me, right? Like, I was also still friends with another moderator on the team. So did Devoglaer try to also give the ultimatum to that person too, or was it just a pick your fighter kind of thing? Oh, let's try to hurt Catarella by targeting her best friend on the mod team, not her other close friend on the mod team. And I actually did speak to this other moderator, and we don't talk anymore because she was one of the people that I did also let go, and I was shedding everybody from the community from my life and completely removing everyone. And that was a really hard conversation that we had to have, and we sent voice messages back and forth crying to each other because she didn't want to let me go. I didn't want to let her go, but it was something that I knew I had to do because all of this was still overwhelming me and still affecting me, and that was why I was shedding everyone and removing everyone from all access to me from that community because I did not want to be associated with it anymore. And she supported me through everything, was so kind. So this moderator, or ex-moderator now, then decided that they were completely done. Because if you're not gonna act like an adult and talk to that person and explain what's happening and just be rude about it and kick them out without any explanation, which, remember, Devoglaer was allegedly upset at me for doing that, even though that's not what I did. I didn't block any of these people until afterwards, right? Now they're all blocked because I want no association with any of them. Right? He got upset because I apparently blocked them without any communication.
Being blocked for no reason.
But here you are doing the same thing to me and doing the same thing to one of your moderators without any communication. So this moderator decided that they were just going to leave fully. So they left the community fully. Based on everything throughout this entire stream that he did, I don't trust a word he says going forward. Because he has shown time and time again, he will stretch and reach as far as he can to paint people in bad light. He will grasp at whatever he can if it's not enough. And Devo, I'm going to speak directly to you here because I don't think I've really gotten a chance to do that. This extremely hurts me. This entire stream that you did severely distressed me and hurt me. The next day at work, I barely ate. I mean, it is just, I cannot believe, I can't believe it. Like, I understand what I did, and I acknowledged it, and I apologized, and I tried to be in communication to make it right, and I got completely shut out. And for you to then, 7+ months later, talk about it on stream, which I asked you not to do. Private conversations were happening on both sides, right? But then you come on your stream and then you talk about it and then you add other private moments that we had to on top of the initial issue. It is severely hurtful. It's severely hurtful. And I know, I want to believe that at one point you loved me and that you genuinely cared for me, but honestly, I don't. I don't believe that. It is so hurtful for you to do all of this. There are truths to what you're saying, and I don't want to disregard that. But then there's the other stuff. And this is not a hit piece. My response is not in no way, shape, or form a hit piece on you. I don't want any harm towards you. After this, I'm done. I want to be very clear. After this, I'm done. I don't want a back and forth. You have my cell phone number. People you know have my number. I don't want this to publicly be a back and forth because it's not drama. It's not drama. It was never drama. It was a mistake that somebody made that I tried to hold accountable, and I went about it the wrong way. I did. I went about it the wrong way, and I was not kind. But it wasn't truthful. Point blank period. What Onyx did was not true. By them claiming that they made that artwork in that caption was not true. And that is point blank periods. Like, that's it. That's it. And that was never acknowledged by you. And so it's very confusing. Because you went off the rails and you just thought I was trying to attack and hurt Onyx, and that was not the case. And maybe it's because you didn't have these screenshots. And if that's the case, I hope this adds so much clarity to the story. Because when we spoke on the phone, I didn't get the chance to tell you all this because you kept talking over me, and I know you remember that because it was a very heated conversation. I didn't get the chance. And I was hoping that with my apology, it would prompt a further conversation. But you had already told the moderators, you had already told the team, so I was trying to also explain to the team who didn't know my side. They knew what you told them, and they knew what Onyx told them. And it snowballed. It snowballed. I don't really have any more words because I'm hurt. And I loved you guys at one point. I did. But this is so much damage. And I'm here to clarify my side of the story, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on with my life. I'm trying to. But I'm not about to let a bigger creator than me stomp all over me and totally toss my side of the story and just twist it in whatever narrative they want to spin it without any evidence to their audience, any proof. I'm sorry, but Devoglaer, I can't let you do this. Because you set an example. As a bigger creator, you set an example. You are an example. I am a creator. I'm a small creator. I'm not big. I don't have the power that you have. And so a lot of creators would tuck their tails underneath their legs and just run. And I thought about doing that. I thought about just, pushing it to the side and ignoring it. But then I thought to myself, I loved this person at one point. There are so many incorrect things in this stream that I need to make right, and I need to talk about, because this is not right to do. It's not right. And I'm glad I got to finally speak about my side. But I'm super hurt by this. And I wish you peace, Devo. I really do. I really do. I'm going to now read my closing statement. If you are under the impression I walked away wringing my hands like an evil mastermind, that is far from the truth. My mental health plummeted because of how you, Onyx, and the team treated me. The messages I read, how you silenced me, banned, blocked, and discarded me, hindering me from explaining my side. I gave you and the team an opportunity for a productive adult conversation about what I owned up to, and you ignored it, claiming I was saving face and being manipulative. So do not be upset when I do what I need to do to heal, because that other option was completely removed from me. I am allowed to tell my side of the story just as you are. My experience is not invalid because you are upset that it paints you in a bad light, and to be very clear, neither is yours. Your experience is valid too. I did hurt you, the team, and Onyx. And I apologized for it, tried to make it right, and got shut down completely. But when you throw someone into the ocean to drown, you cannot be upset when you find out how they made it back to shore alive. The certain things you've said in this video that you've added on to and twisted is extremely hurtful. You never came to me about any concerns you had, and instead held a grudge to use when the right time came. I stood firm in how I felt about what Onyx did with the AI, which is what this was originally about. But you have strayed so far from the original issue, far enough that you added context, private vulnerable moments, and more extremities to mold me further into your perceived view. Your perceived view and the ache to make me the villain in your side of the story does not add validity to the facts presented. Your comfort in my silence until now does not make your story the only truth. Devoglaer, you do not get to decide how long it takes me to heal from this. And I do not get to decide when you do. You being uncomfortable and bothered about me 9 months later finding ways to fully work through what happened and how you treated me is not my responsibility. I don't mind how long it takes you, so you shouldn't worry about me. But you claiming I'm weaponizing my mental health when you yourself still ache isn't fair. Our hurt is not more than another. Its weight does not compare, win or lose. It's just our own. To Onyx, you were not truthful to your audience, and I again deeply apologize for the hurt I caused approaching that issue. You made a mistake and are not a bad person for it, nor do I view you as such. You claiming what Devoglaer said in the stream as 100% true is very hurtful. And maybe you did also not know these things I've shown, but it does not disregard that intense statement. What I'm going to say next will be stern, but it is not with anger I say it, or harm. Your community is not the best on Twitch. Because all of this points to the contrary. Just read your chat in this VOD. Your viewers threatening me, shouting to expose my name, saying they want to erase me from the internet, no mod stopping them. I had my full personal Instagram name exposed by at least 2 of your members, and did anything come from that? Did your mods that are such safe people hold those people accountable for practically doxing me? Did you? Or did you let it all happen because you continued to convince yourself you're only a victim and not a part of the problem? I never publicly posted about you, Onyx, or the community in the last 9 months until now. Others did. I didn't. Your community and moderators never knew my side until now, because the side you told them was satisfying enough and they trust you. But you've also made hurtful mistakes here that I hope you acknowledge in the future. Accountability finds you just like it does me, and although it may not come in the form you expect, it will haunt you until you finally rip off the mask, turn inwards, and face it. And now is your opportunity to start that journey. This is the one and only statement I will be making on this matter. Like I said earlier, I do not want to go back and forth. I will not entertain it. I do not want hate towards any parties involved. I do not want unkind things said. I want to move on from this with growth and kindness.